My entitled husband demanded I hand over my inheritance to fund his business, saying, as my wife, it's your duty to support me. When I refused, he transferred the money behind my back. The next day, he walked into the bank to withdraw it, only to find his account frozen. The banker looked up and said, "Sir, your wife left a message for you." His face turned white as he read the words, "Enjoy being single and broke." I met Alex during our college years at Boston University. He was charismatic, full of ambition, and had dreams of launching his own tech startup. I was drawn to his passion and drive. After graduation, we got married and settled into our life together in Cambridge. I secured a stable job in marketing, providing a consistent income, while Alex pursued his entrepreneurial aspirations. For years, Alex jumped from one business idea to another. Some showed promise, but none truly took off. I supported him emotionally and financially, believing in his vision and hoping that one day, his hard work would pay off. Then, 2 years ago, my grandmother passed away, leaving me a substantial inheritance. She had always been a pillar in my life, and her passing was a significant blow. The inheritance was her way of ensuring I had security and stability. When Alex learned about the inheritance, his eyes lit up with excitement. He saw it as the perfect opportunity to fund his latest business venture. One evening, over dinner at our favorite spot in Harvard Square, he brought up the idea. "Lisa," he began, "with your inheritance, we could finally get my startup off the ground. As my wife, it's your duty to support me." I was taken aback. "Alex, I understand your passion, but this money was meant for our future, for our children's education, for emergencies." He leaned in, his tone insistent. "But this is our future. Once the business succeeds, we'll have more than enough for everything." I hesitated. "I need time to think about it." Days turned into weeks, and Alex's requests became more frequent and pressing. I felt torn between supporting my husband and honoring my grandmother's legacy. After much contemplation, I decided that the inheritance should remain untouched for now. "Alex," I told him one evening, "I've thought about it, and I can't use the inheritance for the business. It's too risky." His face darkened. "You don't believe in me." "It's not that," I tried to explain. "I just want to ensure we have a safety net." He stormed out, leaving me feeling guilty and conflicted. The following month, I noticed discrepancies in our bank statements. Large sums were being transferred without my knowledge. Panic set in as I realized that the inheritance funds were dwindling. I confronted Alex. "Have you been taking money from the inheritance account?" He avoided my gaze. "I needed it for the business." "I was going to tell you. Without my consent?" "That's betrayal, Alex." "It's our money, Lisa. We're married." I felt a mix of anger and heartbreak. "That doesn't give you the right to take it without asking." Determined to protect what was left, I sought legal advice. I learned that in Massachusetts, inheritances are considered separate property, not marital assets, unless they are commingled with joint funds. Armed with this knowledge, I contacted our bank and explained the situation. They advised me to freeze the account to prevent further unauthorized transactions. I agreed and left a note for Alex at the bank, knowing he would attempt to withdraw more funds. The next day, Alex went to the bank unaware of the freeze. As he tried to withdraw money, the banker informed him of the account's status and handed him my note. "Enjoy being single and broke," it read. When Alex returned home, his face was ashen. "You froze the account?" "I had to protect what's left," I replied firmly. He looked defeated. "I never thought it would come to this." "Neither did I, Alex." Our marriage couldn't withstand the breach of trust. We separated shortly after. It was a painful decision, but I knew I had to prioritize my well-being and the legacy my grandmother left me. Looking back, I realized the importance of setting boundaries and protecting oneself, even in marriage. Trust, once broken, is challenging to rebuild. I hope my story serves as a cautionary tale for others navigating similar situations. After the separation, things got quiet. Too quiet. Alex moved out and stayed with one of his friends across the river in Somerville. He didn't say much. No begging to come back, no real fight. Just cold silence. That scared me more than any yelling ever could. I kept waiting for the next blow, knowing deep down he wasn't the kind of man to just walk away. Not like that. 2 weeks later, I got a call from my HR department at work. They said someone had called pretending to be me, asking for employment verification, salary info, even trying to get access to my direct deposit details. Luckily, the caller didn't answer a few verification questions right, and the rep got suspicious. My stomach dropped. I knew it was him. No one else had that kind of motive. I called my lawyer. We started the process to formally separate finances, tighten passwords, and monitor all accounts. I changed my phone number, added two-factor authentication to everything. I felt like I was living in a spy movie. Then the letters started showing up. Not emails. Not texts. Actual handwritten letters slid under my door, some folded into the windshield wiper of my car. No return address. Just page after page of long, ranting messages in Alex's handwriting. At first, they were love letters. Or at least that's what he tried to make them look like. Talking about memories, how we used to be, how I was throwing away our empire before it was built. But over time, the tone changed. They became threats, veiled at first, then obvious. I made you. I will take back what's mine. One said, you think you've won, but I'm just getting started. I reported them. The police said it wasn't enough to take action unless he actually did something. So I waited, feeling like a prisoner in my own home. Then, just when I thought it couldn't get worse, I got a letter from the IRS. According to them, I owed thousands in back taxes. Someone had filed a false return in my name, claiming income one never made, deductions I never took. I knew exactly who had done it. He had access to my social security number, old tax documents, everything. I spent days unraveling the mess. Hours on the phone. Meetings with tax advisors, fraud departments, attorneys. I didn't sleep. I barely ate. Every time I thought about it, I shook with anger. He hadn't just taken money, he was trying to ruin me. And then came the biggest twist of all. One morning, I got a voicemail from a woman. Her voice was shaky. She said she needed to talk to me, that it was urgent, that it was about Alex. I didn't know what to think. I called back. She told me she was pregnant. And that Alex had told her he was divorced, wealthy, and running a 7-figure company. He had been living with her for months, right after he left me. He said I had cheated, stolen from him, ruined his business. She believed every word until she found a box of letters. My letters. The ones I had written to him years ago, still kept in a shoebox in his closet. She knew then he was lying. I met her in person the next day. She looked exhausted. Scared. Just like I had looked a few months ago. We started comparing timelines, stories, lies. They overlapped perfectly. He had used the inheritance money he took from me to fund a fake life with her dinners, clothes, gifts, even the down payment on a car. All while sending me letters blaming me for everything wrong in his life. I asked her if she was still in contact with him. She said no. Not since she found the box and kicked him out. I don't know what his next move is. I know it's coming. He's too prideful to let things go, too entitled to believe he could lose. But now I'm not just watching my back, I've got someone else watching too. Someone he also lied to. Someone he also tried to control. What he doesn't realize yet is that the two of us, me and the woman he thought would replace me, we're talking. We're sharing everything. Notes, dates, files, plans. I've kept all the letters. So did she. We're building something too. Not an empire. A case. And we're just getting started. The day I found the tracking device in my car, I nearly threw up. I was late for work and spilled coffee on my seat. While cleaning it up, I noticed something odd wedged near the back paneling. It was small, dark, barely visible. I thought it might have been something I dropped, but when I pulled it out, I froze. It was a GPS tracker. Real, blinking, magnetic on one side. I sat there, holding it, heart pounding so loud it drowned out every thought. I didn't call the cops. Not right away. I called Claire. That's her name, the other woman, the one he lied to after he walked out of our home and into hers. We'd become. I don't even know what to call it. Not quite friends, but partners in the kind of betrayal most people don't survive without scars. Claire didn't seem shocked. Check your laptop, she said. I found a keystroke logger on mine last month. She wasn't joking. I brought mine to an IT guy the same day. He took one look at it and asked me where I got the machine. I told him I'd had it since grad school, but Alex had upgraded it for me about a year ago. He installed remote access, the guy said. Someone's been watching everything you do. Emails, passwords, bank logins. Everything. It felt like I'd been robbed twice, once for my money, now for my privacy. I bought a new laptop, wiped everything, changed every password I could think of. I took the GPS to the police this time. They logged it, opened a file. Said they'd look into it. Claire and I decided to dig deeper ourselves. She remembered that Alex used to brag about how he kept backup drives. Said he never trusted the cloud. She had never seen where he kept them, but she had a lead. He used to rent a tiny storage unit on the edge of town. Nothing fancy. Just a place to store old files, he told her. We went there. The guy at the front desk didn't ask too many questions. Claire had seen Alex punch in the code once, and it hadn't changed. The unit was dark, dusty, and packed with boxes and an old metal filing cabinet. We found folders labeled with my name. Hers too. And others. Other women. Photos. Copies of IDs. Emails printed out. Screenshots. Bank details. Letters. Notes. It was like walking into a stalker's trophy room. Dozens of women's names on envelopes, including ones we didn't recognize. It was clear Alex had a pattern, and we weren't the only ones. Some of it looked recent. Some of it dated back years. It made my skin crawl. That's when we realized it wasn't just about the money or control. He had a sickness. An obsession with manipulation, with puppeteering people's lives. He didn't just want to win. He wanted to ruin. We boxed up what we could, careful to wear gloves. Claire used her phone to take photos of everything. Every file. Every label. We documented the whole thing. And then we did something that, even now, I can't believe we had the nerve to do. We sent him a package. Inside was a single folder, copies of all the documents he had on us, the tracker, and a USB drive with photos of his little storage vault of secrets. On top, a note in handwriting he would recognize. Mine. Here's what we have. Imagine what we haven't shown you. He didn't reply. Not to the package. Not to the message Claire sent a few hours later, just a link to an encrypted online folder titled Insurance. The kind of thing you send if you want someone to know you can take them down with a click. 2 days later, Claire got a knock on her door. Not from Alex. From a woman named Denise. She had a toddler with her. She said she used to live with Alex 3 years ago in New York. She left after he drained her savings and threatened her when she got pregnant. He disappeared before the baby was born. Her name was in the files too. We brought her in. Told her everything. Gave her a copy of the USB. We're up to 4 women now. All of us with similar stories. All of us thinking we were the only one. We're building something that's no longer just personal. It's legal now. It's organized. It's going somewhere. The last text Alex sent before I changed my number again was short. You don't know what you're doing. He's wrong. We know exactly what we're doing. And we're not even close to finished. The confrontation didn't go down in some dramatic courtroom or a dim alley. It happened at a charity gala of all places. Claire had been invited through a friend. It was one of those social climbing events full of tech guys, investors, and people pretending to care about the cause. She'd heard Alex might be there, schmoozing his way back into circles he'd burned. She called me. We decided to go. We didn't go to cause a scene. At least, not exactly. We went to show him we weren't hiding anymore. I wore a black dress. Not flashy. Just clean. Confident. Claire was in dark blue. Denise came too, with a simple chain around her neck and the steadiest expression I've ever seen. We found him near the back, talking to a man in a crisp suit who looked like he had more money than time. Alex spotted us and froze mid-sentence. He tried to smile. That fake, practiced one he used when he was cornered, but trying to look in control. Wow, he said. All of you here together. What's this, some kind of reunion? You could say that, I said, stepping closer. People started to notice. The man he was talking to leaned back, clearly sensing tension. A woman next to him sipped her drink slower, eyes flicking between us. Claire pulled out her phone and showed him the photos. The files. The storage unit. The list of names. We know, she said, voice flat. All of it. His face twitched. You're insane. You're trying to ruin me. Funny, Denise said, stepping forward. You said that to me when I told you I was pregnant. Told me I was trying to trap you. Then you vanished. People were watching now. A few phones were definitely recording. This isn't the place, he muttered, lowering his voice. You picked the place, I said. We're just here for the truth. A woman next to me whispered, is that the startup guy? The one who pitched at MIT last year. Her friend nodded slowly. Alex's face went pale. You lied to everyone, Claire said. You stole. You stalked. You manipulated. And now you're standing here like nothing happened. Look, he started, but I cut him off. You filed fake tax returns under my name. You used my inheritance to fund your fantasies. You installed spyware on my laptop and followed me with a tracker. You told Claire I cheated on you. You told Denise the baby wasn't yours. And all this time, you've been painting yourself as the victim. He opened his mouth again, but this time he didn't speak. The silence said more than any denial ever could. Claire turned to the room. If anyone here still thinks he's the visionary he claims to be, ask him about the police report we filed. Ask him how many women he's lied to. Ask him how many times he's gotten away with it, until now. Alex looked around. Some people had already backed away. Others were whispering, avoiding eye contact. The man he'd been talking to walked off without a word. Alex's voice cracked. You don't understand. I didn't mean for it to go like this. Denise stepped closer, eyes locked on his. You never mean for it. But you always make sure it does. He turned and walked out. Fast. Shoulders hunched like a beaten dog. No goodbyes. No fight. Just gone. After he left, people started talking. Not to us, just among themselves. Some judgmental. Some confused. A few sympathetic. One woman, who turned out to be an investor, came over quietly and said, I'm sorry. I think I gave him a check last month. I should have known. We didn't stay long after that. The fallout came quick. The online folder we sent out anonymously made its rounds. At least 3 women we hadn't met before reached out. One filed her own police report. Another had been trying to get child support for over a year. With the evidence we'd gathered, legal action finally started to feel real. Claire and I didn't talk for a few days after that night. We were emotionally wrung out. Same with Denise. We needed space to breathe, to sit with everything. I cried the next morning. Not just from relief, but grief. For the years wasted. For the woman I used to be. My mom came by that week. She sat on my couch, handed me tea, and just looked at me. "I always worried about him," she said. "But I never wanted to meddle." "I wish you had," I whispered. "I know. But now you see him clearly. And so does everyone else." A few weeks later, the bank confirmed what we'd hoped. The account Alex used to move the inheritance was flagged. His access was shut down completely. The fraud cases were being built. Slowly, but they were moving. One evening, I got a message from an old friend of his. A guy named Trevor. We'd met a few times. He'd always seemed a little skeptical of Alex, but polite enough. He wrote, "I had no idea. I'm sorry. If you ever need someone to back your story, legally or otherwise, I'll testify." I saw things. I ignored them. I shouldn't have. I didn't know how to respond at first. Eventually, I wrote, "Thank you. That means more than you know. The truth is, I don't know what comes next. I'm not naive enough to think justice wraps up with a bow. But I sleep better now. I eat better. I laugh again. Claire is seeing someone new. Denise's son is learning to walk. And me? I'm learning to exist without fear. Some days I miss the life I thought I had. The man I thought I married. But more often, I just feel proud that I walked away and that I fought back. If you're wondering how it ends, I don't have an answer. But I know how it continues. With me. Standing. Breathing. Healing. And never, ever going back.